Well, good morning, everybody. And as a group of good sustainability people, I dare say that this morning, as you were eating your breakfast and munching on your toast, you were thinking about the environmental impacts that occurred in getting that piece of toast to your hand from the field. In case you weren't, these are those impacts. This is a CO2 footprint produced by the government. And as you all know, there are impacts all the way along the life cycle, from producing the grain, processing it, distributing it, and use. And as you also all know, as actors in different parts of that life cycle, there are increasing pressures from many different stakeholders to reduce those impacts in a significant way. And what we hope to do today, my colleague Ava and myself, is to demonstrate some of the ways in which SKF and our technology and our solutions can help the different actors along the value chain of bread and food and beverage in general to do that, to reduce those impacts. But before my colleague Ava starts on that, I just want to say a few words of introduction about SKF, who we are, what we do, and how we work in general with sustainability. So SKF as a group, it's a Swedish company. It's more than 100 years old. We employ around 50,000 people around the world, turnover about 6 billion euro per year. And in terms of what we do, we have a number of technology platforms, 5 distinct technology platforms. Probably best known for bearings, rolling bearings of all types and sizes, and we're the largest producer of those in the world. But we're also active in these other 4 technology platform areas. The service platform, which is what we do to maintain and support our customers' running assets, so to achieve an improved reliability, reduced downtime with services, condition monitoring, and supplying the replacement parts and so on. Seals, predominantly rotating seals, of course, very much linked to bearings. Lubrication systems, again, I think the link is obvious. And finally, motion control actuation systems. So that's what we do, and we supply industries all over the world, and you can basically say that we supply most things that move, so everything from a wind turbine to a train, from steel production to bread production, as we're talking about today. In terms of sustainability, we've been working with sustainability for many years. It's actually one of our strategic drivers. And we define it with something we call SKF Care. And actually, if you look in your bags, hopefully you'll see a brochure that tells you a bit more about how we deal with it, how we see it, how we work with the different issues there. But generally speaking, we've been early adopters of systems, management systems. So we've actually had global ISO 14001 certification since the late 90s. OSHAS 18001 since mid-2000s, and we're just now in the final stages of a global certification in ISO 50001, the new energy management system. We've also been early adopters to the various principles and charters that promote sustainable business practices like the Global Compact and so on. And in fact, we've been recognized externally for a number of years as having quite a good position, a leading position, let's say, in sustainability by things like the Dow Jones Sustainability Index, FTSE for Good. More recently, we announced a partnership with the WWF, which is based around what we've done on climate and our ambitions and targets going forward with climate change. So that's talking about sustainability in general in our company. If we talk then more specifically about environmental sustainability, if you were to look back 20 years ago, our approach to environmental issues was very typical, I think. We were focused on our own operations, understanding the impacts in our factories, understanding the risks around those and reducing them systematically. But what we've been doing really in the last 20 years is to transition from that rather narrow focus to much more of a life cycle approach, where we're looking at all of the different elements along the life cycle and through the value chain of our products and our activities, understanding what the impacts are, what the risks and opportunities are, and then driving a systematic approach to reducing those impacts. And actually the way that we've been doing that is with something we call Beyond Zero. This is our top-level environmental and business strategy. And we talk about these 2 bars. The red bar is the negative side of the equation, conceptually at least. And there we say, look, there's the impacts from our operations, the CO2 from our factories, the fuel used in logistics, the impacts from our suppliers. And what we want to do there is to understand those and then systematically, year after year, reduce them. The green bar is the positive side of Beyond Zero, and that's what we can do for our customers with innovative new technologies that help you, the customer, to actually reduce your environmental impacts in a significant way. And we have a portfolio of products and solutions supplied across all industries, which include products that basically do that deliver significant environmental improvements. And my colleague Ava now is going to talk to you about some of those that are particularly relevant to food and beverage. Thanks.
Hello, everyone. Well, when speaking with food and beverage producers, we often find that they're faced with multiple challenges. Food safety is always number one, and the ever-increasing compliance requirements to regulatory bodies such as NSF, FDA, or your AJCCP certification. But certainly, one of your main challenges is to ensure the availability, reliability, and overall efficiency of your equipment and your line, and that often with limited resources. But more and more what we see is that all companies are pressured to set targets around environment and sustainability, would it be energy, waste reduction, or greenhouse gas emission, and water very importantly. What is important though is to understand really the full value chain. Because food manufacturers and processors, in trying to adapt to pricing and development pressures, they are strongly driven really for increased flexibility and operational efficiency. And from that perspective, really, if you can lower the total cost of ownership of just one large asset by 0.25% during its lifetime, you can be talking about significant amounts of money. And we all know that in food and beverage plants, as in many other plants, lubrication management is the foundation of asset reliability. And this can impact environment and sustainability targets throughout the entire supply chain, from growing to harvesting to processing and delivering. But technology moves on, so I suggest we look into some aspects of this. From a simple disc arrow, we know there is an element of contamination from leaking lubricants throughout the disc hubs. But understanding this, SKF has developed an integral unit which removes the risk of soil contamination. And you see here the difference on the environmental impact between no relubrication and relubricating at regular intervals, where grease is pumped into the unit. And of course, in order to purge any contamination that may have entered. But of course, all excess grease is in the end deposited into the soil. Albeit small, but every part counts. So if we look now into the bread baking process, bearings in high temperature baking oven are lubricated every second week with costly grease, and it can be 70 pounds and above for 1 kilogram of grease. And each relubrication cycle takes about half a kilogram of grease. And if you look at it in terms of CO2, this would mean 2 kilograms of CO2 every second week, as 1 kilo of grease generates about 4 kilos CO2 during its life cycle. From a bearing perspective, we can count on 5 kilograms CO2 generated during its life cycle. And we know that bearings in such applications, in baking applications, last between 6 and 9 months, and that with heavy maintenance, isn't it? But what if there is a technology really that pushes the limit of bearing life and needs no relubrication? Well, this is what we mean by technology moves on. And here we have a high temperature bearing technology, which is based on graphite, and it's fully relubrication free. And of course, NSF approved. Well, what this means is, of course, a positive impact on your total cost of ownership. If you count savings from labor, grease cost, but also the increased bearing lifetime by 4 times means a lot, because it will generate less CO2 and less cost to you. But more importantly also, removing traditional bearing grease and oil from around the asset greatly improves food safety. and also operator safety, as they don't need to be around an asset which is in cooling phase. They don't need to approach it for maintenance. And this is really, for us, understanding the key drivers in food and beverage helps us to develop and apply these technologies to bring sustainability, economic and safety benefits. If we look at proving ovens, that's the other critical asset in bread making, quite energy intensive. And reliability of this asset is greatly impacted by the way maintenance is executed. Manual relubrication of bearings and chains can introduce risk to food safety, but also reliability, have a negative impact on reliability, because if by human error you would miss out any of these lubrication points, failures can happen. And we all know this is a possibility. But again, utilizing our technologies, we introduced a pinpoint accurate lubrication system for the chains and relubrication-free technology for the bearing positions. This resulted in increased asset reliability, a better cost control, but also increased operator safety. And as in other cases, really, the validation of these technologies led that the bakery group asked their OEMs that the new ovens they were about to purchase are equipped with this technology. And although this might have increased the upfront purchasing cost slightly, the total cost of ownership during the asset life cycle was reduced. And this gives you a picture of life cycle engineering from us at SKF. As a starting point, we are working with the OEMs, of course, in their design and development stage. But as you've seen previously, our involvement in driving and developing technologies comes in later stages as well, in the operate and monitor phase. And the example before was a prime reference of how this can happen in practice, and then we drive it back to the OEMs, to their design and development stage. In this cycle, what we do is we carefully monitor the environmental impact of our own manufacturing footprint, as well as the impact of our solutions in the use phase. And this is really about our commitment to drive environmental accountability beyond zero. Further to bread provers, looking into linear movements, considerable energy can be saved, replacing pneumatic cylinders with electromechanical ones. This can translate in as much as 5,300 pounds saved per year and 9 tons of CO2 saved. Well, all in all, when we talk about sustainability in food and beverage at SKF, for us this means bringing new technologies, services and solutions with enhanced environmental benefits in terms of water efficiency, energy, greenhouse gas reduction, waste and effluence reduction. But what is important, though, is that we do not lose the business aspect. It should make sense from a business value perspective, meaning that it has a potential to reduce your total cost of ownership and increase asset line efficiency. The other important, the last but not least really, is that we develop technologies which are in line and reduce the impact of food safety and bring operator safety benefits. And this is really a journey which we commit to walk along and really support our customers in their continuous improvement work. And let's have a look concretely now how this would happen. Well, understanding that each food and beverage plant is at some stage in their continuous improvement work, sometimes a walk through the process with the maintenance management can help to highlight areas of specific problems where solutions can be applied. Or as we mentioned before, technology moves on and upgrades can be applied, for instance, to save energy, remove relubrication tasks, or reduce risk to food safety or operator safety. And a more in-depth approach actually could involve a complete review of the site's maintenance strategy, revealing short, medium and long-term activities to improve reliability and optimize costs. And whilst many organizations consider they understand their maintenance requirements on site, what we find conducting asset management assessments is that there is not a detailed understanding around asset criticality and maintenance strategy. Therefore, what we suggest is that conducting a structured maintenance strategy review enables to create detailed tasks and standard procedures to perform asset care in the most effective way. And this can, of course, include the use of operators for frontline asset care. Additionally, reliability engineering and the use of best-suited technologies will add to that continuous improvement culture, which will prove its benefits from sustainability, an economic, and food safety perspective. And in the booth area, which is number 49, you will have specialists whom you can talk to about your continuous improvement process and the challenges that you might have. And I would like to conclude here by saying that we at SKF are really looking into optimizing performance at every stage of the asset life cycle in order to improve reliability and efficiency of machinery used to grow, harvest, process, and transport food worldwide, and that in an environmentally friendly way, because we care. Thank you very much.